Welcome back to My Thought Partner, or welcome if you're the first timer. Michael David Davis here.
Nicole Davis.
She would not let me say she was illustrious. I don't know why. Nicole, today's episode is all about your favorite. Everything's always your favorite, but
that's because I'm a positive person. I just like stuff. I'm easily excited and easily amused.
Yeah, but you're definitely not wrong about being the positive person. I almost did not want to do this episode because I got lost in the whole reason why we're bringing up tools.
Yeah.
Because I was still so excited about, yes, we do have an actual egg timer. We talked about it last episode.
However, it is dysfunctional. Actually, one might argue non-functional.
Yeah.
I know. We hear the ticking. We got the ticking.
Yeah.
But what very important function does it not execute on? This particular egg timer.
Yeah. So this wonderful egg timer just lets you feel the anxiety of the countdown, but there's no finality.
There's no final ding. There's no final.
We're just going to let it go. And so if you don't hear the ding, that's because it doesn't exist.
I know, but don't you feel like that could be a little like anxiety provoke? I mean, even I'm like feeling a little sweaty right now just listening to like tick, tick, tick.
Yeah. Well, it's a good thing we're talking about tools because I feel like sometimes we are in an endless timer or we think we have an endless timer.
We're really pulling at a thread here, but okay.
Okay, if you think about it, we have this endless timer. You think that we have all this time to get things done. So if we don't have something to remind us it's time to move on.
Sure.
How do you know that it's time to move on?
It's time to move on.
Yeah. So I think the tools that we're going to talk about are going to help that and implement that. And
well, yeah. And I think the last time on the last episode, we didn't get the chance to really like dive in, roll up our sleeves, get our hands dirty, and maybe talk about some of the tools that we use or to create kind of a complete picture of some of the tools that we use and why we think they're so awesome.
You definitely hinted at them for sure.
I mean, I think it was a little bit more than a hint. But yeah.
It was like the way we met, but that's for a whole nother thing. It was definitely more than a hint of who was pursuing who.
Not for the podcast.
That's not right. Okay, so when we're talking about tools, I wanted to talk. So here was the problem. I wanted to talk about all these fun analog tools and how they were used in our lives and why and whatever. And that was the Nicole's face that she gave me in the listening format. It equivalates to like.
Well, because let's be honest. Shall we talk about what was on the list?
Yeah, let's do it real quick. Make me happy. Woohoo!
Pens, pencils, paper, notebooks, standing desk. Like folks know what these things are, babe.
Yeah, laptops, phones. You know what they are, but are you using them correctly or effectively? Right? Okay, so we got it. We know what they are. You should have one of those. That's probably how you found us or how you're listening or maybe even watching us.
Right.
So
I think we can move on to like, that's like 101.
Yeah.
I think we can move on to like 102, dare I say like 201.
Fair enough.
Of like, what are some digital tools that we can use that can supplement the analog tools that folks are already using or can kind of like elevate your game, right? Or help keep you more organized, can really help you show off in a meeting. We all like to do that every once in a while. So that was the purpose of today's podcast, is to really talk about those tools.
But let's be honest. I was also just trying to be a great partner by talking about, and again, practicing my active listening skills where I knew that we talked about notebooks and the ability to like turn them around and how that was a part of your efficient process in an analog world. So
true. But we talked about it. So we don't need to talk about it again. We're good.
I will beat a dead horse. All right.
Yeah. What else?
Let's get into it then.
Okay.
I will say this.
Say it.
So if we're talking about tools in a product, no, not a product. If we're talking about tools.
Oh, in productivity?
In productivity.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. My brain was actually going to like what I want to purchase from Amazon later. So
shocker.
Yes. If we're going into tools about productivity and how to become more operationally efficient.
Yes.
I think we're thinking about who you are interpersonally in your work, in your role, and or your person. Well, I also want to just touch quickly. If you're a person who's like in the entrepreneurial world or you're in a startup or you're trying to like get somewhere to become your own boss or to create your own business, there are some tools a little bit I want to just hit on for the fact because it is a thing that will set you apart as you're trying to build your business, as opposed to the side hustle that is really making you look like you're just trying to push a side hustle, to giving you a little bit more kind of edge over your competition,
or a little more polished, maybe
a little more polished, so that your friends and family don't think like, oh, you're just doing this thing. Okay, yeah, whatever. Like we're not going to support you and promote you because, you know, it looks a little like my 3-year-old niece did it or something, right? So when I say that, this is all going to make sense. So when I say that, for those of you that are out there, and this is my one and only time I'm going to stand on the soapbox, it's not the only time.
Yeah, it's not. But continue.
Then I'm going to say, please, 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 if you have your own business and your side hustle, get a domain name, right? Get yourcompany.com. Obviously, that domain name is probably taken, but get a domain name with your company. You think that is probably the most obvious thing.
Okay, but why is that so important?
Because it's going to, unfortunately, we have to prove ourselves digitally, right? Everything we are fed is a digital environment, and we need some sort of like digital certification or verification. Now, granted, I think that you're getting that domain because it gives you some levity and it gives you that 1% more of the unknown about who you are, because you're probably an unknown person. I'm an unknown person. You're an unknown brand. We're an unknown brand. You're probably somebody that is trying to give a little bit more validity to what
legitimacy.
And your legitimacy.
Okay, but pause. So is that domain name?
Yes.
Does that just mean you're getting a web address? Like you're getting a website, essentially.
So there's two ways you can look at this, right? So getting the domain name is first and foremost important. And I'll tell you why, because it's the foundation for two different things that are going to happen next. One, website. You brought it up, right? Like everyone should have a website. You can get them anywhere now. Squarespace, Wix, you can get them WordPress. You can they're a dime a dozen. You can build one in less than 30 seconds.
Canva.
Canva.
Sorry.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, you can do a one-page website.
Yeah, you can just build a landing page. So great. So what is it? How under the basics? Who you are, what you do, who you're trying to go after, right?
Yeah.
But the other more important thing that I find the most,
it's your pet peeve, I think.
it is my pet peeve, and it's almost, I don't want to say it's unprofessional, but man, if you're going through the lengths and the hustle and you're really trying to get that product or service out there, the last thing I want to see is your business, your company at gmail.com, right?
Yeah. Well, and look, there's no problem if that's what you're doing.
That's right. There isn't a problem.
That's fine. What we're talking about is kind of that differentiator, and what are small ways that you can kind of add value, and as we said, add validity and legitimacy to your business by just kind of making some of those small tweaks. Yeah.
I mean, and the reason why I say it's a pet peeve is because you got to imagine when you're in a world where sales happens all the time, you're going to start receiving information from people. And believe it or not, when you start seeing things from yourcompany.com, great. It looks like it's a real thing. You're more likely going to click on it. You're going to look at it. If I'm receiving yourcompany@gmail.com from an email perspective, I'm going to go, you're probably going to go to the bottom of the list to be not considered, or I'm just not going to have time to go dig out to see if you're actually a real company, because again, I don't have a 3-year-old niece. I don't know. I'm using the proverbial imaginary 3-year-old niece, but like they can create a Gmail account. And so it's easy to like fall into like phishing or any type of like bad. Sorry, well, someone can go out there and get your information, right?
Sure.
If they assume you have money, they're going to try to get your money, right? So it's also a form of protection to protect your business that you're working on building, that you are actually coming from a place of that validity that you mentioned. So that's really, I just wanted to get into. So like get a domain name, get yourcompany.com, whatever it is, and then get some sort of email hosting service. If your domain provider has that, great, do it. Enough of this subject. We're moving on. But because that's, again, part
got
of
it. Great.
All right. Sure enough. Go on. What's next? I want to get into the productivity. That was my thing if you're just starting a company. But now if you're in the company or you're in the throes of it, whether you're an executive in your role. What can I use today?
Yeah, but also this isn't just like startup oriented, right?
Right.
I mean, I think it's if you're working within an organization, if you're in a matrix organization, there are definitely opportunities to have some better like project management tools and things like that so that you can really ensure everyone understands what the outcome needs to be, how we're getting there, what the roadmap looks like, blah, blah, blah. I think I talked about this last week, but no, I can't really remember. Monday.com.
You definitely brought it up. Because I'm a Monday person. So I remember that. I remember I said that. But
man,
tell me more.
I really love Monday.com. So I love a good project management tool, but I also love something that is highly customizable and that looks pretty, for lack of a better word. Like I just love for things to look inviting. When you log into it, you want to stay because it's just really appealing looking and looks nice and tidy and organized. So I'm sure the folks at all of these organizations would not appreciate this description, but to me, Monday.com is like Jira or Asana, but like at Disney World, It's like beautiful. You can color code things and, drag things around. Like I really love the functionality of it and you can use it in any number of ways. I mean, one of the things on our list for today is talking about CRMs,
Yes.
Customer relationship management systems.
Yeah.
Man, I've had a moment
there.
Look,
I actually had to write down. So you were so used to using acronyms.
I just say CRM all the time.
Right.
What does that stand for? Yes. Customer relationship management systems. So you can use Monday.com as a CRM. You can use it for project management. You can, set up contingencies within it. I've used it in certain roles for ensuring that people are onboarded correctly. And does everyone within our team understand what the onboarding and new training process looks like for a new team member? So we can just ensure that new person has a great experience. And again, you're kind of ensuring that communication is set across your organization and that everyone knows what the expectations are. So to me, Monday.com is a great tool, maybe for folks who are a little be intimidated by something like Asana or Jira. And those are great tools, by the way, don't get me wrong. But I'm also not someone who's actually building out, like I'm not in the IT space necessarily. And so I'm not using Jira or Asana or things like that to kind of their fullest capabilities, which is maybe why I don't love them as much. But they're great for what they do.
Well, then that's perfect. So like, again, disclaimer, none of these tools that we're recommended, they are not paying for this podcast. No. We are not bidding. So all these will be in the show notes. There's not going to be any affiliate links, just bad decisions on us, right? But that's okay because this is really about providing you that ability to do a dive yourself. We're talking about what we use, why we use them, and how we've used them. But again, this is also more specifically just to give you an idea about what steps you can take to increase your productivity and make yourself more efficient. The other part of that, though, is using these tools depending on who you are. Like Nicole and I are, again, we talk about our differences a lot. She likes the pretty. I like the functional. So if it is...
I like functional too.
Correct. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that.
Yeah.
It's not that because it's pretty, it's
not binary.
Yeah. Right. It's not like chrome on a car. It's so pretty, but there's no function to it. It's more so like when you mentioned Jira, or especially Jira. Jira is a platform that is known to be used by a lot of engineers and different startups or tech companies to list and provide documentation and support systems and who's actually accountable for following up on those in a very technical environment a lot of the times, right? And so you don't need color. I mean, there are color codes, but you don't need pretty things. You don't need these wow factors. You just need data and a way to collect it and how to kind of manage the project. Yeah. So that's kind of what we're getting at. But like you'll find these tools that'll work best for you. So again, this is not a comprehensive list by any means. There's going to be things we don't even talk about.
But like, look, this is our podcast, so we talk about the stuff we want to talk about.
Well, that's why I married you.
And I want to talk about Monday.com.
Right. Okay,
but I did, so we can move on.
They should use that snippet. I'm going to send that out.
That's terrible. No.
But and the other thing behind that is there's, we have probably played around with so many tools. I can't tell you, in our household, we are constantly like, oh my gosh, check out this, check out this website, check out this, check out this tool. And Nicole has to remind me, just use the one you have. Stop looking for the next better thing or stop looking for the next tool. So you have to find that tool to.
I don't know that's what I say, but that's a cool story. No, I mean, I actually think, we were just talking about this, so that it's really important to be open to new tools so that you do know what the next best thing is, right? That you're constantly kind of learning and expanding your own toolbox. Because I think, again, we're doing a lot of talking and not really a lot of tool talk, but, there are a lot of different things out there that serve a different purpose. Just like there are competing organizations that have the right use case or the right client or what have you. So I think that's the important thing with tools. It's like there are a million things out there. Find the ones that work for you and that work best for the particular use case that you need them for in that moment.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, don't be like me. So for instance, let's just go into a CRM, for instance, right? CRM, a customer relationship management tool. Wow, I always want to say retention because I'm trying to keep your customers. So the customer relationship management tool, what that simplistic idea is anybody that you're interacting with, you're putting it into a database. So let's go back to the analog. You're writing down their name, their email, phone number, address, probably the most basic things you can get. Now, let's take that the next step further. So here's the trap that I fall into. Now I want to put this into an Excel sheet, or I want to put this into a Google spreadsheet, or I want to put this into some digital format, right? And then after I've done that, now I want to take that and I want to put that into a new, nice and beautiful system. So you have systems like HubSpot, you have systems like Salesforce, you have things like Zoho. And so I will try them all out. I bet while I'm diving into them, then I'm like, because they do all have features that are missing and or there's not you'll never find it all in one. And you shouldn't try to find it all in one because then you're probably overpaying for features that you don't need. But what I do is I start to play with all these tools. And then once I get a tool set up around, I'm like, all right, it is now ready. It's automated. It's good to go. And I'm like, but what about that one feature it doesn't have?
I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah.
So don't fall into that trap. Try them out, but go in with the idea of what you actually need, right? The idea of the tool is to fix the problem that you have at the moment or to prevent an immediate problem. Don't worry about things that are 10 steps down the line or 20 steps down the line.
It's like over-engineering for where you are now, right? Or that grass is always greener idea of well, surely there's something else out here. Do something, right? Use a tool, start moving forward and fully assess and decide what's working about it and what's not. And then, if you need to pivot or make a change, do that. But I get what you're saying now. Don't prevent yourself from doing something because you're waiting for that perfect tool.
Okay, so if we talk about tools, right, and specific tools, the psychology of I'm writing things down, it's working for me. Where should I be self-aware? What type of things should I start thinking about? When is it time to move into that next tool?
When it's not working for you?
Okay.
I mean, look, do what works for you. And I think we talked about this before. I love a good Post-it, and it just depends. But there are times that does not serve me. Obviously, living in my Post-it paradise doesn't really work when I'm trying to collaborate with other people. So, I think that is the tipping point is when you're starting to see things break down in your systems, when you're not as productive as you feel like you should be or could be, or maybe as you used to be. That's when it's time to kind of reassess the tools that you're using and figure out if there's a better approach. Or if you're running into the same problem over and over again. Those are usually good indicators that something's not quite right with the systems that you're using right now. If you are kind of working in a silo and doing your own thing and you don't need to collaborate with a lot of people, I don't know a ton of roles that are like that, but I'm sure there are some. You do you, keep plugging away at whatever systems work, even if those are pencil paper. But I think the things that we're talking about today are when you do need to kind of expand and be able to collaborate with folks a little bit more broadly.
And speaking of segues, that between collaboration and sticky notes, there is a wonderful platform out there that's called Lucid Spark. And Lucid Spark is just that. It's taken Nicole. This is almost, I wanted Nicole to use this tool all the time. But again, they have already so many tools. But it is taking a board, basically like a whiteboard, and you get in there with 5, 6, 10, 20 people, and you just start throwing ideas down on sticky notes, on digital sticky notes. And then you can drag and drop them in different columns and things of that nature. So let's say, okay, if you want to use it for an icebreaker and you're like, all right, I want everyone to write down what city you're from. And then we're going to put them in columns like what city starts with the letter A through whatever and C all the way through the alphabet. And then you just start dragging it up and you go, okay, people, look at you. Look, there's already 5 people from cities what A through C. So, but it is a total drag and drop and it's based off the sticky note. I think it's so cool because it's easy, it's fast, and believe it or not, it's fun. And I think that's one thing that tools we never talk about is they can be fun if you like to use them. So
yeah. That one's not my favorite though.
Yeah, it's okay. It just made me think about it. And, if we're going to talk about the tools that are out there.
Yeah. Well, so can I counter that with?
Yes.
Miro. Miro is my favorite right now. And I should say right now because tomorrow it could be something else. But I use Miro in that same way. And again, this is one of those things that it is kind of like, what's the right use case and what kind of resonates best with you based off of how you're operating and what works best for your clients and customers, right? Or the other folks that you're collaborating with. So to me, Miro kind of serves that same purpose. What I really love about Miro is that they have all of these templates already created and they have this really robust community where other people can submit the boards and the templates that they've created. So you don't have to build everything from scratch. And one thing that I've done with Miro is really created my own personal set of templates that I can use time and time again. So one thing that I've done is created a customer journey map so that when I'm working with clients and saying, okay, let's really map out what your customer journey looks like right now. Let's identify those different inflection points. When are you interacting with customers? Does that feel like a positive interaction? What are some pain points during that time? So I have that ready to go. So that anyone that wants to kind of talk to me about their customer journey or anyone where it seems like that may be something we want to dig into, I've got that tool ready to crank out. I have one for, identifying building out a new initiative. So kind of what are all the things that we need to think about when we're embarking on a new initiative. So to me, that's the thing I really like about Miro is you can replicate your own template, you can pull from other people, and then it's pretty easy to customize. So like if I'm working with a different client, I just switch out the branding colors, I switch out the logo, and then it feels like a very personalized, customized experience for them as well.
All right, so we'll be back the second half, getting into more specific tools.
Awesome. Let's do this. Are you recording?
I'm recording.
Great. Both of us, our best selves in this moment.
I'm just having fun. Okay. So Nicole's always telling me I'm like swirling the drain constantly, right? Like or it's the long kiss goodnight. I just can't wrap things up or I just don't bring these things together. So we've alluded to some of these tools, but like this, we're going to get into like the rapid fire, where the tools are, and then get you on your way. Okay. Right. So,
yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I figured you would. We mentioned Canva, so I'm going to go from Canva and just talk about what I love about Canva. So Canva, if you're in design world, it's excellent. It's awesome. You can create things. There's a billion templates on there for everything imaginable that you can create. Yeah. But what I use Canva for, because if we're going to tie this all into something, is that I use Canva for actually content planning. And that content planning is the automation part of me posting to my social networks, right? Whether that's for the personal side of the world or for the business side of the world.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because I actually am not sure that a lot of people know about that functionality within Canva.
Well, and the funny thing is,
I didn't know about it. I mean, I'm not necessarily like representative of.
Nicole loves Canva.
I love Canva, but I didn't know that it did that. Yeah.
And she would tell me about Canva. I'm like, I don't care about this stuff. Like, what's the point of it? And now I'm like this big proponent of Canva because of that. And it was funny because we were talking about, I wanted to find this tool. So there's existing tools that are out there. There's Hootsuite. There's things that have been there for a long time, for years, decades even. And I was I was trying to find this tool that would like allow me to post content because as you know, content generation is key nowadays. Any social media manager out there. And again, if you don't have that person in your company or that is you, just know that is a thankless job. And it is one of the most crucial elements now because again, that is everything we are facing is digitized. So that is an important thing. And Canva fits that exact immense proportion for a tool. But I never knew that you can actually use it to free up your life because content generation, which I have learned is tedious. It's challenging. Yeah. You have to come up with so much stuff.
Long kiss goodnight.
Yeah. But what I'm saying. Right. So I have a year's stuff planned out already that is now going to automatically be generated through Canva through their content planner.
Yeah. Well, and a great example of two people using the same tool in very different ways.
Very much so. Right. Yes. Okay. And then but that also leads into the next tool, which is Chat GPT. Yes. I know it is the big hot button. It is the big topic.
Blows my mind.
There are hundreds, if not thousands of articles a day written about the fear of AI and removing a lot of these redundant jobs of content creation.
Well, yeah, but like great thing to talk about when it comes to content creation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really here. Let's get this to the very truth of the matter. You are the human. Nobody has the voice that you have, and nobody is going to speak with your voice. You know you, and you know how you portray a message.
Or what message you want to convey to your audience, right?
No AI is going to replace you, right? Let's just get that. Now, what AI generation tools are great for, whether this is a painting one, whether this is a chat one, the great thing is that it can give you a little foundation to start with. Right?
A jumping off point.
It can absolutely give you a jumping off point. And that's all you should be using it for. You should be using it for a jumping off point. If you need it for idea generation, they're perfect. But then you go in and you start modifying, you start tweaking it, right?
Well, and I mean, I always say I love to edit, I hate to write. And so for me, it's a perfect tool for that, right? Because I have a good eye for kind of tweaking other people's work. Like, isn't that convenient? But like, you know, I like to go, I like to go in and fine tune or edit things. But sometimes sitting down and just writing something from scratch can be really challenging for me. It's just kind of how I'm built. I've always been that way. So it is a great tool in that sense that if you're similar in that, gosh, sometimes it's just really hard to get started, that it's a great place to get started.
Yeah. And it really is good for, again, if you're creating sequences in cells, if you're creating responses, if you're doing things that are repetitious, it's great for really adding your voice into something created based around all the data that exists out there. Again, not reinventing the wheel, but adding your voice to it. And again, you're doing it because you don't need to plagiarize other people's content, but we're in a society now that nothing really is original anymore, right? We're just rebuilding upon something new. Okay, so the other part of that is what I struggle with most is how do I know when spending too much time on something is enough, Nicole? I have to use this tool. We already know. This is analog. Look, did anybody hear it go off?
No, dang.
You didn't. It broke. So unfortunately, we had to go digitally. And I say unfortunately because it surrounds us everywhere. I use this wonderful tool. It's called Pomodoro. It is based off of the Pomodoro method. Yeah. And I actually didn't even know what the Pomodoro method is. I probably should have known this my entire life. Someone should have told me about it. I'm surprised Nicole didn't introduce this to me years and years ago in our relationship. But ultimately what it is, it's just, you can use it in a Chrome extension. I'm sure that there are other varieties out there, but what we use it for is it's on its default settings. It's 25 minutes of focused work, 5-minute break. You do that 4 times and then you get a long break that's there. The whole concept of it is that so that you are giving and retraining your brain to get that real focus on what you're doing and then relaxing. Yeah. My problem was when I first started using this tool is that 25 minutes is not long enough for me to get something done. Right. But what I was finding out and what I am also now an advocate of is when I don't do that 25-5. Now, again, you can go into settings and you can change all these things, but I will find myself doing an hour and a half sit down, of just work, deep diving into it. And I will find myself more mentally fatigued later and burning out of the day sooner.
Well, and the quality of your work tends to diminish. Not you, like just people.
Oh, I
right?
diminish. You start, it's like my battery levels is
you power down. But the quality of your work tends to diminish when you don't take those breaks to kind of give yourself that mental reset. And yeah, then you don't necessarily have that same energy later in the day or later in your work time frame to have that same level of quality there, right?
Yeah.
And I think we actually use it for different reasons. So for me, my personal productivity is really high on days that I have a lot of meetings, right? Because you have a very clear schedule. I only have this amount of time in between these meetings to get these other things done that have to happen today. And so I can boom, 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 crank those things out. But on days that I don't have a lot of meetings, or if I have, meetings in the morning, but then the afternoon is free, sometimes it's hard for me to just stay focused and get those things done in a shorter amount of time. Maybe it takes me 2 hours to do something that really should have just taken me an hour if I had not had my phone, if I had, just kind of like stayed tuned into what I was doing. So that's how I use it on days that I have longer stretches of that, unstructured time. It helps me with structure. And then I know, we've talked about distractions before. During that 25-minute work session, I'm not kind of giving in to distractions. And then during those 5 minutes, I'll check my email. I'll check my phone and see if I have any, calls, missed calls or texts or anything like that. But then when it's time to work again, it's time to work again. And that has really helped me, again, to add structure in unstructured days.
Yeah.
And just to talk about the tool, because I think we're talking about the method, but we're not really talking about the tool. Yeah. The thing that I like about the tool is that you can also customize pieces. So yes, you can customize the timing, but you can also customize the sounds and the little alerts. So there's kind of like white noise function that gives you kind of that nice auditory signal as well that this is working time. And if you happen to be working with someone else in your home as well, it's a nice signal to other people that this is my focus time, right? So they're not inadvertently kind of interrupting the time that you're really focused on work. And then you can choose what the little alarm is when your work time's over or when your break time is over. But, it's a very simple tool, but can be really helpful.
I will say it's interesting. I'm actually trying to use it. This is its own thing. I'm trying to use it to help me with one of my fears. Like, I don't know where it happened. It's somewhere in my life. Over age, I've been getting scared of flying. I don't know why. I love flying. It's so fast, but I've been getting fearful of it. But one of the dings is that the call attendant button. It's like the ding.
Bing.
Yeah. I use
Is that helping?
I don't know. We haven't flown since that time, but
okay, we'll see.
But I'm using it so that becomes a more common sound.
That's pretty funny.
So that I'm disassociating that with the fear of being in a plane. So we'll find out if it works.
Well, but is it positive reinforcement, or are you using that to indicate it's time for a break or it's time to get back to work? Because
I'm using it for the break.
Okay, good. We should have a positive association.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, of course, right. Yeah. Well, I mean, who wants to go back? I think my going back to the work is like the big goal.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, because that's fun. All right. You also talk about, this is our other favorite tool, hands down. I don't care if you're a solopreneur, entrepreneur, if you're a small business owner. Even if you don't do anything, if you're a human,
okay,
and you just need some sort of little bit,
don't even know what you're going to say,
gaining back the chaos in your life, right? Get Calendly.
Oh, why have we not talked about this? Oh, yeah. I love it.
Get Calendly because,
I love it so much.
First of all, it is the best free tool out there. I would love for anyone out there to argue differently. I know if you're,
I'm sure you could.
You could, but I know,
but it's great.
Yeah. Well, here, look. All right. This woman is itching to get out of her chair and talk about this because Calendly hands down for the free tool that it is. And Calendly, if any of your executives hear this, or if I don't even remember off the top of my head for sure, don't change this because you've got me hooked, right? I've even had to pay for it now because I love the feature so much. Yeah. You got me.
I was going to say, you can pay to upgrade the features, right? And to add kind of like a more robust suite of scheduling options. But man,
the free
is it
tool
great.
Itself.
I love it.
How does it work?
I don't know because I pay for it. So I don't want to talk about the free aspect. Sorry. But I'm just saying. Well, no, I'm just saying I can't speak to the features. I don't work for Calendly. But the way that I use it is that I just keep a 30-minute meeting link available in my email at all times so that any of my clients or anyone that I'm working with knows they can reach out to me and get time on my calendar then. Because sometimes you do just need to have that quick check-in of like, hey, I have a question about this, Nicole. Can you help me work through this? Blah, blah, blah. So that's one way that I use it. We use it for a team calendar also, so that if everyone or a few people from our team need to be included on a specific meeting, it'll actually align with the availability of multiple calendars so that you don't have to do that legwork yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've had clients that we're working with say, oh my gosh, that was so easy. Thank you for sending me that Calendly link. People love it. I think trying to navigate multiple calendars is awful sometimes.
It's awful.
Because you're also trying to interpret like the importance of someone else's calendar, which is not, a battle you're going to win.
And you're relying on if they are sharing all the information in
That's
the
right.
calendar, right? You don't need to see the details, but like, are they really available? Because again, when we talk about our efficiencies or trying to make ourselves more productive, and my favorite, again, when we talk about time blocking, if you're not putting time blocking into your calendar, then you're shown available. So if you send out that Calendly link and then it shows you're available and then you're really not, right? You're harming yourself. So I think too, to add to what you're saying is that what I also love about Calendly is you might work from 9 to 5. You might work 8 to 6. You might work 10 to 10, or well, I would say more like 5 to 10, 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. You can actually just create a selective period of time that you're going to be available for meetings. So you're controlling it before it even gets to your availability.
Yeah.
And so, for like new clients, we usually do like a new client Monday or something like that. So there's only the certain links that we send out specific to those reasons why you might want to meet me.
Yeah.
And if you don't have something like that, and if you want to use it in your personal life, it sounds ridiculous and you're going to be like probably freaking your friends out. But if your friends want to do something with you and everyone's like, well, I don't know when I have time, guess what? Just set a block of time out, send it to the friends. And if they don't choose it, guess what? You at least gave them the opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the thing is that, Calendly has the ability to sync with your calendar so it can see when you're already booked, see when you're available. And, you do have the ability to also set up those different types of appointments, like you mentioned. So, some of them, so like for me, a new client onboarding is probably more like a 45-minute call. So I'll send that to that group and I have more availability there, right? Because especially with a new client, I want to make sure that I can get them in when it's convenient for them.
Yeah.
But it's a game changer.
Yeah. Like a 15-minute check-in or something like that, which again, a lot of these things that this is going to lead into the next tool, Zoom, because like you can like have Zoom set up where that if you're doing your video calls, I know we've talked about when we send out this Calendly link, you can create an option in there so that if they want to just do a phone call, if they want to do a Zoom, if they want to do a Teams, if they want to do just like a Google Meet, right? So you can actually choose the tool. So you're creating a successful environment for yourself so that the meeting expectation is lined up with what that particular person who's creating the meeting with you is about.
Well, but let me say that a little differently.
Go ahead.
So you can choose the tool that you prefer, or you can add the optionality within Calendly for the person that you're meeting with to choose a tool that works best for them. Because, for us, we're somewhat tool agnostic, but for a lot of our clients, there's one specific thing that they can only use within their organization. Right. So it's nice to include that optionality so that you can ensure a meeting platform that's compatible with that organization.
Yeah, great point. Because like that is the thing that, again, if you're trying to make it easier for other people to connect with you, then that definitely will do that.
Yeah.
There was one more. Oh, okay. So I was thinking about, all right, we've covered all these things how to make it easier for people to get to you, how you can make yourself a little bit more efficient. There's, we talked about last time tasks too, right? So all these things, all right, now I want to go check out all these tools. I want to go do these things. You've given me this list of tools to check out, but oh my gosh, like, how am I going to remember to do that? So you can actually there's another tool called Momentum. Momentum is also, again, I'm giving myself away. I use Chrome quite a bit, but like it's an extension that you can use, or it's also just a tab. You can go in there and create task lists. And what I really like about Momentum is that, first of all, it's a separate tab, and I kind of keep that on its own. So it's not with if you're like me or definitely like Nicole, we have 3 different windows with at least
Yeah.
15, 20 tabs in those
3 is
windows.
conservative, but
Yeah. In which it's bad for the computer. But anyway, all that being said and done, you use Momentum. It has a quote of the day. It has a beautiful picture behind it, but then it has my task list. And of course, I can prioritize that task. So as I'm going down the task, I can check it off and on there. It's a free tool. Again, there are other things that are out there with HubSpot and things of that nature. But like you can use these tools to help make you more efficient so that you're getting things done.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else? Do you have anything else?
No.
Nothing. Wow.
We did it.
Man, I think it's time for you to get out of here. I think that's
maybe it's time for us to get out of here.
We got to go. So close to me.
You like it.
I do. Welcome to my thought partner, Michael David Davis, and my illustrious wife.
I don't really think that's the word you want to use.
What is it?
Like, I just thought, hi, let's start over.
No, that's so good. That was great.
Okay.
There you go.
Thanks. I love you.
All right. Hello, welcome. That's so dumb.
Hello.
Why do I do that? Hello, welcome.
I don't know. It's like you say materials.